Brand Minds presents Global Thinkers About AI in the Business World. David Sinclair, genetics professor at Harvard Medical School. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of AI?
When I think of AI, I think of a new world of possibilities. Already in my life and in my work, the number of changes that have been made just are astounding, from virtual assistants to designing new chemistry and molecules, through to just asking, what is this plant and how do I keep it healthy? This is just the beginning. I think of it like the beginning of the internet back in the mid-1990s when I started using the internet as an academic. We could just barely imagine what life would be like, being able to speak to people and order things for shopping in the future. And it's the same with AI. Right now, I'm astounded what I can do with AI just in my work, how it's just in the past 12 months revolutionized what we do. So it's very exciting when I think about AI, what the future, the next 10 years could even look like. And I know my imagination isn't even great enough to truly grasp what's coming down the line.
What is the biggest change that AI is bringing to your work in the present?
What we do is we do a lot of molecular biology. We study molecules and test them on cells and on mice and eventually humans. What we're doing now is we can do virtual screening, virtual experiments. So instead of an experiment taking up to 6 months to get right, we can do millions in a matter of, hours. I'll give you an example. A postdoctoral fellow in my lab, Thomas, he was using primitive AI, so machine learning over the last couple of years, to identify a young human cell, a middle-aged human cell versus an old human cell. And we do this because we want to find chemicals that reverse aging and make an old cell look young. And it took him about a year to using old methods to find a way for the computer and the camera to recognize old versus young. With the new AI, it took 10 minutes, and it's only going to be almost instantaneous in the future. And now with this model, we can now look across millions of molecules to find ones that reverse aging. And that kind of work would have taken dozens, if not hundreds of years to actually do by hand, which we can now do virtually. And we're super excited about marrying that technology with robotics to be able to screen through many molecules. And we can also dock molecules with proteins. And instead of doing what are called old-fashioned drug screens, we can do these virtually and now have the AI system tell us what are the top 10 potential drugs to treat a particular disease or even treat aging, which we also regard as a medical condition or even a disease.
What is the biggest change that you believe AI will bring to your work in the next 10 years?
So 10 years from now, I imagine that every scientist will have an AI assistant that understands how they think, how they write, what their personal goals are, what the field of their research is about, what the competition is doing, given all the world's information that's available, and help them every day, help every scientist do the best experiments and help them. I could imagine a scene where one of my students says, hey AI, hey George, or hey Mary, what are we doing today? Well, today I've ordered the reagents for you to carry out this experiment, which we agreed on last week would be the best course of action. I've already modeled it in the system. This is our prediction. I think that there's an 85.5% chance that it'll work. Let's get started. I've also recruited a number of other researchers who've given their input and AI bots from around the world. And I think we've really got a great chance of making a paradigm shift with this experiment today. Let's go. First thing, go to the cupboard, get that chemical, let's mix it together and see what happens. And that I see as the future of science, where we don't just use our brains, we have an assistant that's even more intelligent than we are that helps us get through experiments and understand what the results are, and even leapfrog our competition.
What do we need to be mindful of when it comes to AI?
Well, the future of AI is going to be very different. And already we're seeing the beginnings of things that you have to be careful about. For example, if you ask an AI bot, what is the answer to a scientific question. Right now, some of them give you false answers. They will try their best to come up with an answer, and unfortunately, it's way off. So you have to be very careful, especially when you're dealing with understanding medical results. I work with individuals around the world to help them live longer. And if I type in, say, blood tests, the results that I get are often wrong, and I have to be very, very careful to double check, triple check, or at the moment, limit my use of AI when it comes to fact finding. I know in the future it'll be more reliable, but I don't think there'll ever be a time when a doctor should rely 100% on an AI answer without checking the scientific literature or the medical literature before they make a recommendation.
How do you find the idea of an AI assistant?
Well, what do I think of AI assistants? What does the future look like? Well, actually, the future is here now. Most of my meetings are recorded, transcribed, summarized by an AI assistant. I have 2 human assistants that do the kind of things that AI cannot do, but I think in the future, AI will do all of it. And I love that my meetings can be summarized and shared with the people at the meeting, because it really was a lot of work trying to take notes during a meeting and try and remember it. But I've been astounded how accurate and how predictive and how useful AI assistants are during meetings and afterwards. And I'm getting to the point where I can't imagine life without it.
Stay tuned and discover more about AI at Brand Minds 2024.